Okay, things look to be in order. We got Jurgen up here, Tom and Tyler. Also, we have Mike here. I want to go ahead and preface this. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in that chat box. If you swipe out of here and go to the left, there's a little chat box. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat, or you can come up here to speak after the interview is complete. Anybody who asks a question and gets it put up on the channel, as long as it's a good enough question, you'll be entered in for a giveaway. Shaw team is going to be giving away 30,000 Safe Haven tokens, 10,000 to 3 lucky people. That's enough to start your own Inherity program. So if you guys aren't familiar with that, we'll go ahead and dive deep in that in just a moment. Without further ado, I want to go ahead and invite the Shaw team to kind of introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about Safe Haven. And I'll go ahead and ask some questions after that. So Tyler, why don't you start us off and tell us what you do over at Shaw?
Hey, how you doing today, brother? And thank you for having us here. So my name is Tyler Duson. My pen name is Nebula Matrix. And my role for Shaw is Chief of Partnership Officer. So I essentially embed myself in communities, whether it's full crypto and non-NFT related or NFT related, and essentially show them the products that we have to offer, the DeFi products, and show how we can establish partnerships and integrations and help each other flourish and succeed.
Guess I'll go next, huh, Tyler? Tom Ambrosia, Chief Employee Operations and Growth. Basically, from my standpoint, kind of oversee the structure, onboarding of new positions, etc. I deal a little bit with partnership, not so much on the blockchain side, more traditional, and I do a lot of deep dive with exchanges and stuff like that that show interest and whatnot.
Okay, so I'm Jurgen Schoepen. I'm the founding director, CTO of Safe Haven and SafeTech. I'm also acting CEO for the moment. Hopefully that will change in the near future. I'm running the day-to-day operational part on all levels with the help of my team for sure. I also want to excuse Andy as he's not feeling well this evening, so he will follow, but he will not be actively involved. So that's it. I think we can move on the next questions.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Jurg. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. And I'm sorry we're missing a soldier, but I'd say 3 out of 4 is pretty good with a global pandemic happening. So I'd say we're winning so far. Guys, it's the first month of 2022. So I'd like to start out this interview by asking you a little bit about what happened during 2021, maybe cover a couple milestones that we hit, and talk about maybe what the plans are for Q1 of January. So any of you guys want to take it away or share it all together, feel free.
I think what we're going to kind of do is kind of a banter, if that's all right, just because we kind of tend to work best like that. So, from more or less, Tyler, if you want to unmute, and Jorgen, if you want to unmute, we can kind of go back and forth. But 2021 was a good foundational year. A lot of things accomplished. Patents were accepted, which Jorgen will probably mention later. We'll deep dive into that a little bit. We're seeing a lot of growth. We've seen a lot of growth. We continue in 2022 to see a lot of growth. Inherity released, Community Edition. It's hard going back now that you think about it, a whole year. I'd have to almost look at all of our Flash Fridays. Most of the community members who are familiar would probably know what those are. But
hey, Tom,
Tyler,
I can step in.
Piggyback away.
So one thing was the fund request acquisition. That's going to be really big. It's going to enable people to essentially go on the platform and essentially subcontract code work for smart contracts on GitHub. So that's going to be really revolutionary, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to help not only our project expand and become more scalable on the blockchain side of things with getting contracts done more often, and also provide the capability to everyone else building on Vechain and other chains to outsource smart contract work that they need. Another thing is Inherity Mobile that set forth a very big foundation for Inherity to become mass adopted with the least amount of barriers as possible. And what I mean by that is currently with Inherit2, you need to utilize SafeKey devices to store your plan shares. So when you go on the Web3 platform and you pay the 10,000 SHA, you're going to essentially have all that data encrypted, the inheritable data, like the mnemonic phrases. They're going to be encrypted in military grade encryption, AES 256, and then they get split into multiple different shares. And that's where those plan shares are stored on the SafeKey devices for the beneficiaries. And then there's a validator share stored on the blockchain, and it's locked by a DMS. So Inherit2 Mobile is going to break down those barriers from people creating the plan in the first day. Because let's talk about an integration, for example. If someone goes to one of our partners' pages and they see create a decentralized inheritance plan, they're like, oh, cool, I want to make sure my family's going to be able to get my NFTs and crypto, so let's check this out. They go to the website and they're like, okay, well, I need to order this device. So now they got to wait a week, 2 weeks, and then you might have that chance to where you miss that customer because they forget about it, right? Or until their SafeKey comes in, then you got to worry about them using the device. So Inherit2 Mobile is going to allow people to download the application and essentially create the plan in the same day, because they can have that option to have those plan shares stored in the Inherit2 Vault, which is essentially a decentralized queue for the beneficiaries. They'll have their own Safe ID account, they'll log in, and then they'll establish their own PIN code, and they'll be able to claim it onto their mobile application. And they'll also be able to decide if they want to keep a backup share stored in the vault in case of they lose their device, to where they can get a new phone, download the application, type in their PIN code again, and retrieve the duplicate share from the vault and put it back on their device. And we're also doing some revolutionary things with SafeKey Desktop Tool to enable people to use a hybrid solution. So essentially, people are going to be able to use the SafeKey Desktop Tool to load their plan shares on SafeKey devices onto there and essentially move them around with the Inherit2 Vault and go back and forth between the two interfaces. So that was a really, really huge step for us. And that's going to be coming to life this year. Like it's going to be rolling out, and that's when all these integrations are really going to shine, because there's a lot of interested people within the VeChain community that want to protect their NFTs right now. And those extra steps will just really help. But that's one thing I wanted to add in there. You got anything else you want to talk about, Tom?
Tyler just described 2022 for everybody. So there we go. That's the end of this chat. But no, in all seriousness, 2021 was a really strong foundational year. Like Tyler had mentioned already, we already started kind of working the underlying foundation of mobile. SafeSwap was started, and I think that's going to be really quite impactful for both Safe Haven and the VeChain ecosystem at large. We're finding a lot of inquiry from that. So we've had team expansion. We've had node holders. I can't even, if I was to try to find the numbers right now, they're continuously increasing, if not weekly, monthly for sure. It was a strong year. It was a strong year. Of course, we're always all fighting kind of the market move and whatnot. But overall, 2021, good foundational year, whereas 2022 is really going to put some rubber to the road. Jorgen, anything?
Well, I think you guys all covered it. Just want to mention, it's not only 2021 that was foundational important. It's since start day one, right? That's the reason why we will come back on this later on other questions, I suppose. The patents are getting along in 2021. We finally received a lot of positive news about that. Our SafeSwap platform is almost ready. It's ready from our point of view, at least phase one. We just need the final audits completed. So all our building blocks are finally ready and even upgraded. We already have SafeKey next generation coming up, which will also give a solution to some issues we have memory-wise for SafeKey, our current phase SafeKey. So yeah, I think 2022 will become actually a year that our foundational building blocks will all come together. And I think from this moment on, it can only go upwards, right? Once your foundations are set, well, the rest is the logical step is to go upwards. So quite excited.
Yeah, it seems like Shaw's been around for a couple of years now, and at first it was born, and it seems like 2021, all those products in your suite were learning to walk. And I think everybody's really excited about 2022. Let's go ahead, for anybody listening in who might not fully understand the suite of products that you guys offer. Why don't we go ahead and dissect that a little bit, and you guys explain to somebody maybe who's never encountered the protocol or anything at all. Tell us a little bit about SafeSwap, and tell us a little bit about the Inherity program as well.
Okay. But to start with Inherity, which is our core, right? It's fundamental, an interface, a 3-level interface to have digital assets distributed among stakeholders. It's not only focused on inheritance. We offer backup solutions for current life situations as well with our community edition. So basically what we do is we split critical data into pieces. We keep only data pointers in our databases to access offline data, which we don't hold in our databases, to merge them with the final shares that are stored on the blockchain. I invite everybody to read our docs.inherity.com to have a fully understanding of how it works. As I saw a message coming up just now, we don't store anything critical. So that's really something, that's our fundamental project that has been, everything has been based on to not be unhackable, because internal people, they can't access data as well, as we don't have the access, we don't have the data. So that said, Inherity is quite innovating, even if I am not very neutral, but I'm going to say it either way. The patents which are attached to it are proving and living proof that it's innovative. Otherwise, you don't receive patents, right? What SafeSwap is, I will just come back on the Inherity platform. So as Tyler mentioned before, and Thomas as well, indeed, we already have built a POC, proof of concept, for the mobile services, and also the Vault, which makes everything a little bit more decentralized, but will make the whole thing mass adoption capable, right? Non crypto minded people will able to use our services, as we admit our current community edition is quite complex. If you really want to know how it works, it's quite complex, but that was also the purpose, because that's why we call it a community edition. And once you have a lifetime plan, it's lifetime, right? You do effort to understand it, but you have something in return. Other plans that we will offer in the future will be subscription based. So mobile will be free. Vault will be also something that have to be paid. But either way, we will stay defending our basis to have at least a 3-level layer subscription, which means that hardware storage will be involved in any way, at least for the merge authority. That said, SafeSwap is something, and I can't say it enough. It's not an extra service that we wanted to provide, right? We built it in our minds to go cross-chain as an utility token. That was our first goal. Now, with other projects that want to onboard, it's going to become actually a lot more, even a DEX for some native tokens. We will talk about that maybe later. It's an atomic swap platform that is decentralized on a top level. I think you can't more decentralize the whole the swap. Beside the fact that we have also centralized scripting tools, which are controlling the locking and the releasing of tokens on the source chain and the destination chain. So cross-chain, it's something really innovative, because a lot of swap servers are out there, but they are too much centralized and used to hire the available supply, the circulating supply of token project, That's something that we don't want to avoid, and listing partners will have to sign an agreement with us that we will monitor the liquidity pools. We will look into the balances in between the chains for one particular token, and we will delist them once if we see that they are abusing the swap service to create extra supply. So those are kind of fundamental topics that we include in our safe swap service. So,
and I have a question, Tom. Why don't you let us know? Is Inherity usable right now, and is SafeSwap usable right now?
Yeah, and well, Inherity is usable right now. The Community Edition, along with Safe Keys, which is the most secure way to use it, which is something that Jordan was mentioning earlier when we introduced mobile. It's going to be slightly less secure, but still maintains the three-layer security topography, which is really critical. So we're not giving up much for ease of use, but currently Community Edition is available with use of Safe Keys. Again, that's your most secure, if you could call it premier security feature. So that is live. People can establish plans. They can establish up to 500 characters can be stored in a decentralized manner and split, and then encrypted, split, and then pulled back together and merged accordingly. As far as SafeSwap is concerned, SafeSwap is currently still under beta. There's a ton of beta testers. Probably several in this room might have their hands on SafeSwap. Soon, what will occur is, of course, we will go live with SafeSwap, and then the first token will, of course, be SHA, and that will then be able to be atomically swapped through Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, and Ethereum. Am I missing one, Tyler? Let me think. And VET. Well, I mean, it's already on VET, but or VIP 180. Am I missing anything?
No, you got them all, brother.
Okay, I'm just like, because yeah, this is a really cool utility tool. It's going to be pretty revolutionary for everybody in the space as far as VeChain is concerned. We're also seeing people who want to bridge into VeChain with it. So that's a really positive thing, not just for Safe Haven, but of course for VeChain. So one is currently under beta test, and the other is currently live.
And I got to get something off my chest here. Since I got all three of the devs here, I'm going to just go ahead and get it off. I was selected to be a SafeSwap beta tester, and I lack the time to get directly involved. However, for whatever reason, I am in the Telegram for the SafeSwap beta testing, and oh my goodness, there is some stuff you guys are working on that is just unbelievable. I can't wait for you all to go public with some of the stuff I see in there. So I just had to get that off my chest. I'm in that Telegram, and probably once every 3 or 4 days.
There's a couple of things that have been kind of tossed around in there. People have kind of found their way, as people do when they beta test. And I won't particularly bring out what those are, but there are parts of SafeSwap that are kind of, they're definitely, we have some really good detectives and sleuths, if you will, in that group. So we're looking forward to releasing that V1, and then we expect V2 pretty much out the door, or a portion of V2, which V2 is the integration of other tokens, utilizing SafeSwap, possibly bridging into VeChain ecosystem.
Thomas, just want to add to this. V2 will be actually the production version directly, right?
There you go, right there from the CTO himself. Yeah. I mean, we're pretty much at that point where it kind of came up on us quick, right, Jordan? We kind of wanted to go V1, and then V2 we had to stumble and kind of make some quick maneuvers to get V2 up and functional. So
the the fact that we're waiting for the auditing as permits ourselves to integrate directly stuff and to test it. Version 2 will be actually DEX compliant stuff.
Right.
It's quite exciting. Not
Yeah.
It's
that we,
very exciting. And another thing is we have another token that's going to be supported within version 1. I'm not going to say which token it is. I'd never hear the end of it. We haven't announced that yet, and we can't announce it yet because NDAs. But whenever SafeSwap launches, we will have 2 tokens supported to go cross-chain. So that's the Safe Haven token and token Mysterious. Not even saying.
I love that, man. I can't wait for people to find out more about SafeSwap. If you are aware of SafeSwap, let me just go ahead and reassure you the things they're doing over there is something never before seen or done on VeChain and has an extreme amount of potential. So I'm personally bullish on the atomic swaps that you guys are working on, and keep crushing it. Tyler, will you tell us a little bit about the patents? Jorgen mentioned a couple times that there's some patents going around and stuff like that. Will you dive deep into that for us?
I think it's
Yeah,
better.
so Jurgen would actually be better than me because that's his strong suit. So I'm gonna let him take that over.
Yeah. The patent stuff in Europe, as we are the most advanced in Europe, it's just a matter of choosing countries in Europe to receive the patent. That's the only thing that we have to define now. And the thing is, having patents is something extremely expensive. So we are not going to take all the countries in Europe. We are going to try to have the most strategic countries first and see how that works. And the USA and China for sure, Hong Kong as well. We are not there yet, but that's the thing that we have to decide now in order to obtain the patent. Is just saying in which countries we want to have it. So it's only a matter of administrative costs and to pay those fees. For the rest, everything is a done deal.
Okay.
I think it's important. I'm sorry to interrupt, Virtual. I think it's important that we mention, some people know what the patents are doing. They know the purpose of what the patents are. As Jorgen had just mentioned, we have several patents pending. So, European patent is just it's intent to be granted. It's intended to be granted, and then what we have to do is, because it's EU, you have to select it. You have to kind of pick and choose what countries you want to protect the solution, right? The IP, intellectual property. So, and each one of those countries, you have to pay a surcharge and et cetera, et cetera. That way, you meet the legalities and you pay the piper, if you will. We also have the patents pending here in the US and in China and Hong Kong. We should suspect that because of the EU's, let's call it, expeditious approach to granting this, we should see the US and China probably being the last, but US and China kind of expedite theirs because they can use precedent, which is a positive thing. What the patents do essentially is they protect what we have created for inheriting. It's the protocol that's used. So more or less this protocol can't be used by anybody else globally. That's the ultimate goal. When we get there, as far as quote unquote globally, that'll be pending the grantorship of all of these patents. However, what we should suspect is that basically what Jorgen has created in theory is now in a technical and a solution protocol that no other organization in the world will ever be able to use. That's pretty critical in this space. I don't know that there are a lot of patents within the blockchain crypto space. I know there's a couple, and I know they're by some pretty prominent teams out there. But yeah, so what that's doing, guys, is basically making sure that no one else can do what we do. And that's pretty critical, that we can corner the market like that.
Yes, and something important to know as well. It's not only inherently CE stuff. I think we have in Europe more than 8 claims which are accepted. So the scope is much more larger than only the community edition, the current community edition. So I think in United States we will have more than 12 claims. So yeah, it's more than what we have built for now. So we have it covered.
Jürgen, I have a question for you. If you could name 3 countries within Europe that you would love to have the patents filed in, what 3 countries would those be? And say it's your dream team. What 3 countries would you pick?
Well, I think the Benelux countries to start with, but let's say that is the first one. I think those with the most crypto involvement, and that's something that is now. It's actually we want to do a market research to have a report on which countries provides the most users and potential users for our platform, right? So I think those that are most crypto compliant to start with, and also those where we can have the most interest. So I think the Benelux, Belgium, and Netherlands, because Vechain has a lot of Dutch followers, even if Inherit is something blockchain agnostic. Sorry, I think Germany will definitely be included. I think if I recall it right, Great Britain will still be involved on a patent level. So I think I answered your question with 3 out of I think more than 5 that I already mentioned. So.
Yeah. So probably, we're not. I mean, I would imagine, Jorgen, just because of your affinity for France, probably would, maybe that'd be the 4th.
Yeah, France. Sorry, yeah, France. Of course, yeah. But those countries, they are very close ours. So I'm thinking now Great Britain, Germany, France for sure, even Poland, because they have a large population. And but I'm waiting for the marketing report on where we have the most potential to sell the product, because it's all about selling the product, right? So.
Great. And I guess my secondary question about the patents would be, does that apply the same to the United States? Like, say you go for a patent in the United States, do you have to pick and choose what states they're approved in, or is that a more broad thing than the Europe approach?
It's not in the US and China. It's the continent itself that you cover. So it's much more easier. It's much more less expensive. Europe is the most difficult continent to handle, and luckily enough, it's the first one that we have to handle. So
take the giants down first, man. I love the approach. I love it.
In China, Hong Kong, we have to file it independently, but it will be automatically covered once we have the China approved. So that's not. It's just a commercial.
It's kind of meeting that Hong Kong and China need.
Yeah. But yeah. So it will be USA, all the states, and in Europe, selective parts, and then China and Hong Kong.
Okay, I guess my second to last question before we jump into the AMA would be, plans for SafeSwap 2022. I'm sure you guys have some whiteboards drawn up of some goals that you'd like to achieve Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So, what can Safe Haven holders look forward to in the year of 2022 as far as SafeSwaps is concerned, and maybe some bullish news we can get on that.
Maybe Tyler can continue on that. The thing that I want to say, and that will be almost a no-brainer, is to have the stablecoin of Vechain included, as we are all currently in talks with that. It's just a matter of how we are going to work together on that part. But that's why I'm telling that SafeSwap will become also a DEX, because one of my dreams would be, if we include VUSD as a native token, is to have it swappable with the DEX service to USDT on Ethereum, for instance. So It's not another token. At the same token on another chain, it will be the native stablecoin on Ethereum, right? So that makes our platform a DEX, and that's how I think that will be our final goal in 2022 as well, to have this up and running.
Yeah, that's a really, really big point with VE USD, 100%. And what I was going to bring up was just all the other projects that are going to be wanting to onboard on the V chain, and even some that want to get some type of cross-chain capabilities in the other chains. That's going to provide multiple different listings. And with our SafeSwap platform, there's going to be a listing procedure, and there's going to be fees involved. And of course, the fees will depend on where the project is within their development, and it's going to vary. But it's going to be very beneficial to node holders, because we're not going to say right now exactly how much or what, but there's going to be a percentage of those fees going to node holders to share equally. So every time that a listing occurs in a partnership for SafeSwap happens, there's going to be a substantial amount going towards the utility reward pool, and then it'll get equally distributed based upon the percentages of the node that person has. So like, let's take Connect Node, for example. They got a 3% share of the utility reward pool, so they'd share that percentage with all the other matured Connect nodes. And another thing that's really, really revolutionary for 2022 that's not pertaining to SafeSwap, but more so Inherit is the Negotium network portion of the Inherit Vault. And that's going to start later towards the end of the year. It's not going to start towards the beginning of the year, because we still have to get done with Inherit Mobile, SafeSwap, and some other core things like Fund Requests and whatnot. But after we get done tidying all that stuff up, that's whenever the real fun begins for the Inherit Vault, because whenever you add the Negotium network, it's going to enable people to start storing large data files. So this includes documents, which could be however many pages you want, videos, which could be a memory of like a family memory, right? VHS type of deal stored on the blockchain, or it could even be a video of you explaining to your heirs how to unlock liquidity pools, recover assets, maybe give them advice in investing from beyond the grave, stuff like that, all sorts of stuff. But that's really exciting when you start looking at virtual reality aspects, because, okay, it's not virtual reality in a sense because they wouldn't be putting on goggles to enter the video, but who knows, we might be able to make a partnership with someone who's doing that type of stuff, because there's actually a lot of companies in the blockchain realm that are pursuing virtual reality, and that would be really cool. And I had another thing that I wanted to mention pertaining to ambassador entities before we got into some questions. So that's on our roadmap. And just to shed some light on kind of what's going on with that, we've been in discussions with someone who is very, very talented in making music NFTs. And there's going to be a very special NFT that is going to be airdropped to our ambassadors whenever we're done finalizing everything. But it is really, really good. And I'm very excited for this. And I think everybody's going to love it. Essentially, what does the ambassador tier mean? So whenever you get to your 6-month tier of the node, basically, let's say a Connect node. You start a Connect node, you wait 30 days for the maturation to complete, and then you wait 3 months, you unlock your reward tier, and then 6 months, that's whenever you'll unlock the ambassador. So it's 6 months plus 30 days. You'll be able to get airdropped an ambassador NFT. That's whenever you'll unlock it. But for all those who already unlocked that reward tier, they'll be getting airdropped the NFT upon debut. And essentially, the additions of these NFTs are going to be minted on demand. So as more people unlock that tier, more NFTs will be entering the ecosystem. So it's very, very exciting, and we're going to be including other stuff in the future. But I just wanted to get that out there, and yeah, I hope y'all are excited about that.
That is news to me. That sounds awesome. So anybody out there who's running some Shaw nodes, make sure you keep it in there and get that ambassador icon for you. Get those nice NFT airdrops. Tyler, I look forward to more information on that. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the Virtual Flame special. People love it whenever I get the juicy news. And so here we are at that part of the segment. We have 171 listeners. I would imagine there's tenfold wallets, if not more, holding Shaw. So is there any juicy news that the team can tell us, a small group of people here today, that maybe nobody else knows yet, or something that is just super duper awesome that we can find out right here and right now for attending this space?
Maybe we can't tell everything, right? Because not everything is signed yet and has been properly discussed and integrated, at least on paper. I can tell one thing about CSwap listing partners. The thing is, our goal is also to have more exposure on our other dApps, Torblock. It's a pooling service which is built and very powerful, but is barely used, right? So my goal is also to have those platforms used, and the condition to have it used is every listing partner that is listed on SafeSwap will become automatically listed on our dApps. For instance, they can use fund request and use their own native token. Now I'm talking about the third-party provider, to use their token in our platforms. It's not only SHA. It can be used for Torblock, it will be usable for fund request. And also an important thing to know is that TorPay, we want to get it also live, I think, during the second quarter of 2022. Since that we have the possibility to have a stablecoin, it makes only sense to do mass payments with a VIP token in a stablecoin, and not in another token. So I think we will have other platforms have a lot of benefit out of the CSwap integrations, and third parties will be integrated in our dApps as with our own token utility, with our own ecosystem and fee handling. So it will be beneficial for everybody. But the bottom line is the SHA users will be the core beneficials, right? That's the purpose. And another thing is the FND token, which is like the name itself, it's a funding token. It's something we acquired along with the Fund Request platform. So we made some commitments on that part, and we will use that token as a yield farming token for the SHA holders. That will also be something that will be developed and communicated to the users in 2022. I think most of the people that saw my tweet yesterday about our Magma project, right? That will be also something exciting at the end, because SafeTech is a stakeholder in that company, and we are providing Magma. For those that are wondering, it's a real estate management platform which is completely decentralized, and they want to have their BIM models integrated in the metaverse, like the super road, and all those digital assets will be able to be transferred and made inheritable by inheritance. So, like I said, we have made a lot of building blocks possible and I think up and running, and all those pieces of the puzzle are coming together now to have something wonderful and to look forward to. So there's much more to tell, but sadly enough, we can't share everything. So.
Yeah, that was actually I didn't. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think there's been some people. I mean, I've seen them on Twitter, sort of kind of putting the pieces together on that one, Jorgen. I think you might have seen that too. We can't give a lot of details, but you are looking at something that where the NFT space at large, right? So the NFT aspect of this is of course, we're talking about paper ownership of real estate and assets. And this could be anything from, just any kind of verification of ownership, right? In this case, a real world asset like land or property, right? It's critical that you have a method of properly giving that, if it is in fact verified via an NFT on a blockchain, right? So, along with being able to pass those NFTs, you have to do it in a safe and secure way. It just so happens that in this situation, we're kind of, working with another organization that looks to bring the real estate aspect to reality and understand the need for being able to then, properly pass real estate on as part of a legacy to someone. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of piggyback on Jorgen. That's pretty big. I know it seems maybe people at this point can't really visualize how big and important that truly is to the space, not even just to us, just to the entire space and advancing blockchain and its impact on our daily lives. But to have them interested in utilizing something like Inherity is really, really exciting for us because it's super ground level. Go ahead, Jordan.
Something that maybe we can ask because why not? It's something that is it's public. Our associate in this Magma project, it's actually one of the best friends of the mayor of Miami, right? They have started the blockchain association in Miami together, and having being a stakeholder in the Magma project, we accomplished this. It was one of our conditions to offer Inherity through Magma in Miami. We are going. That's our first state that we are going to focus on. It's not a state, I know, to have Inherity push forward because it's really blockchain minded over there, and also to have all the new real estate projects having it introduced in the Magma project and so digitalized and so long. What you can imagine what this will bring. It's a huge project, and it will. Yeah, we will kick some ass only on that part. It's just the beginning, right?
Tyler, want to say anything on that?
Yeah, sorry. Hold on 1 second. Someone just knocked at my door.
So I'll pick it up then. But yeah, so
that was FedEx. My bad, guys. I thought it was an emergency. All right, I'm back. But yeah, what Jurgen mentioned, all that stuff, very great news, especially Magma. It's very exciting whenever you have real estate entering into metaverses through NFTs and whatnot, and it opens up a lot of different capabilities. One thing that I wanted to mention about Juicy Stuff as far as NFTs go and just NFT partnerships and whatnot, there's a lot of other potential partners I've been talking with, and I'm very excited for those ongoing discussions. But primarily what I'm most excited for is the marketing efforts that we're thinking about with some of these partners, such as attaching limited NFT editions within their game or their metaverse to SafeKey devices. And that's how we would essentially enter that limited character, item, or whatever it might be into their ecosystem. So that is going to be really, really cool, to where you could tell somebody, okay, you could order a special limited edition SafeKey box to where it's going to have cool artwork on it and an NFT attached. And if you don't get that SafeKey box before anyone else, then you're not going to get the NFT, and you're going to have to wait until someone puts it on the marketplace to possibly sell it. So it's going to be really, really cool whenever you incorporate stuff like that.
Guys, I don't know if I've ever been as bullish off of a juicy news segment in my entirety of reporting on all this Vechain news. That is mind-blowing. I hope that somebody's recording this so that we can go through and further dissect and speculate and have some more fun on that. Jurgen, Tom, Tyler, thank you so much for those pieces of information. I think that that's insane. So guys, make sure you check out Shaw and make sure you get on that V exchange and get your bags right, because it won't be affordable forever. So let's go ahead and get into the question segment. Whoever wants to take the question, feel free. If you guys want to pass it back and forth, feel free. We'll start with Kareem Han. Other chain NFTs compatible in your project? If not, any working progress for this? If not, then is there any working progress for this? I want some good NFTs, other chains, and want to use in VeChain. So I'm guessing he's asking about, cross-chain NFT integration.
I mean, we would have to probably dive into kind of what that particular question means. For example, I guess my question would be, where are you looking to utilize those NFTs, and in what kind of utility, what kind of function, what kind of platform? Can it be done? You have to understand, if we're referring to SafeSwap here, and that's my assumption, is that SafeSwap currently being an atomic swap platform, and yeah, Jorgen kind of mentioned something which is kind of a juicy tidbit of it becoming, a DEX in its own right. But for something to atomically swap from one chain, there must also be a pool from which it can swap into on the other chain, if that makes sense. So with that being said, I don't know. I'm sure Jorgen would probably be able to say whether or not that is typically possible, being that he is the CTO. But I don't know that that it's something that is achievable currently. I guess it would be for a gaming platform or something of that nature. And I don't know if it goes too far out of our spectrum as far as what it is we're trying to specialize in. But I guess I would leave that open to interpretation as far as how far and how developed we want to work with SafeSwap.
Yeah, I can add on this one that we would like to have NFT swappable, right? The thing is, people have to understand the standards that are integrated, the NFT standards on each chain will be different, and it will get more and more difficult to swap a token, non-fungible token, from one chain to another when the metrics are not the same. So, but that's something that we would like to have at a certain point, because it's asset distribution in the large sense. Why we shouldn't go deep dive into that. But just to mention that for sure, if we have SafeSwap ready, it's just a matter of time and common sense that we want to have NFT swappable. So this is it. But it's not on our priority list for the first 2 or 3 quarters of the 2022, to be honest.
Indopla asks, if I need 10,000 SHA to create an inheritance plan with a total supply of, I think that number is 850 billion SHA, only 850,000 people could have an inheritance plan. Sounds very limited. Can you explain your strategy?
That can be reduced at any moment. So as price appreciation occurs, we can go into the smart contract and basically say, okay, now it's this amount of SHA. And the foundation will do that. They'll see the price as it changes and whatnot, and make the decision to adjust it as necessary. And when we roll out the standard and business edition later on, it's going to make it to where people can essentially use other forms of payments, such as fiat or even maybe another type of crypto, and then SHA would be paid in the back end. So yeah, it's going to be very scalable, and we're going to make it user friendly, and yeah, just the best possible to where it can scale with market capitalization rising.
Sorry, I'm quite happy that you asked this question, to be honest, because this is one of the concerns. If we want to go really to mass adoption, and everybody wants to create one, SHA becomes a limit, because even if we have fiat integrations, and at the end with MPP and whatever, even on other chains, we will have SHA utility involved. SHA will need to be used for that purpose. So that's why one of the factors that the FND token will be very important in the long run. So,
Jorgen, will you tell us a little bit about the FND, and after that we'll get Uno's question.
Well, the FND token, it's the token that came along with our acquiring the funding request platform, which is basically a funding token to do stuff. In the case of funding request, is to request a pull request to have something solution, to have a solution to some kind of code development. That was the basic purpose of the token. As we want to add it in our ecosystem more and more, we want to use it to fund pools, and we want also to use it as to have like the words says itself. It's a funding token. We can do whatever we want with it. So, and we are going as we speak, setting up some tokenomics to have it attached to our SHA token. So, at a certain point, SHA will be too valuable to use as a direct gas token in our ecosystem, and that's where SHA and FND will be helpful. More about that the two first trimesters of 2022.
Thank you, Jorgen. Uno, welcome to the chat. I love the Mad V8 PFP, laser eyes, Vechain Supreme box logo. Love it, man. What's your thoughts or questions for the Safe Haven team?
Hey guys, first of all, thank you for allowing me to ask a question here. I'm very excited about Shaw and what you guys are offering to the environment. Just a quick question, really. Trying to see if I can make opportunity also for smaller investors. Could you guys consider maybe allowing maybe a smaller investor, especially now in the early stages, the opportunity to also maybe create a smaller nod with the team here?
Yeah, that's why we have created the staking program, which is a program that is working besides the node program. It's independent just for that cause to have people with less finances to get in our project. Maybe Thomas can explain a bit more about that, but basically that's why we have the staking program.
Excellent.
Well,
So staking opportunities for the newer investors that can't necessarily buy a nod or something like that, correct?
right. So, I mean, what we've done with the staking program is the staking program allows people without a node at this time to obtain more SHA, right? Because they can't obtain utility based on their node, and the SHA itself. I mean, it's appreciating in value, and here's the thing, you know what I mean? And I hear what you're saying. We've been around for since 2017, beginning of 2018, and we've seen some price appreciation. If we're gonna talk about it on that level. So yeah, 1 million SHA right now, it's not a number to bat your eye at, you know what I mean? And I understand what it is you're saying. Is there a potential for us to revamp the actual program as far as what is considered a numerical node? I don't know that we're going to revamp the entire program. There is 8.5 billion out there. But with that being said, allowing people to get in on staking as a non-node holder, which, as a matter of fact, I think, Tyler, did that pool filled pretty quick, I would imagine.
Every month it fills 100%, and it fills quickly. Sometimes people are having to beg others to get out because they weren't able to get in, because we have some people in the community that like to stake multiple times within the non-node pool because they don't have their connect node yet, and they're just trying their hardest to get as much as possible. So it's a fight to stake at this point.
Yeah, so I think Uno, what I can say to you is you bring up a good point. There is going to be kind of a revamp of the node reward system. Probably the end of Q1 is when it will probably be at least released. Will it be in place? I don't know at that time, but I know probably by the end of Q1 we're looking at working the node reward system, but I don't know that we're going to necessarily revamp the entire numerical 1,000, 2,005, or I'm sorry, 1 million, 2 million, 0.5, and the rest of the numbers that follow suit. So with that being said, I will take into consideration, of course, and the team will take into consideration your point, and see if we can do something a little more for those who are trying to work their way up to that. And it's very possible that, Jorgen mentioned it earlier, with the potential yield farming of a fund request token, so that way we can distribute it to SHA holders. It's definitely possible that we can kind of change that, or kind of cater to a lower wallet count of SHA when it comes to who's eligible for that kind of airdrop / farm / because the idea with the fund request is to make sure we distribute it to as many people as possible. So let's see what we can do there. And as a matter of fact, I'm writing it down as we speak, kind of thing. Looking at the lower holders who are trying to find some entry. So thank you for that question.
May I ask a follow-up?
Yeah, sure.
So then, in theory, staking could be a pathway to actually becoming a node holder.
I'm sorry. What did you?
I think so. He said, "Can staking be a pathway to becoming a node holder?"
Oh yeah,
100%.
sure. I mean, if you're staking and we're giving and you're getting you're farming more or less staking more SHA, then of course yes. We're offering. We have a large pool of SHA that we've taken off the market. We did a buy, an open market buy. I want to say that happened. I guess that would have happened at the beginning of this year, last year, 2021, and it is extremely possible that people are utilizing that and leveraging that tool to work their way up to a node. Yeah, I'm hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for your great answers. I'm actually even more excited now that you guys said that. Thank you.
And I have one thing that I want to add actually to it. So, my opinion on the standpoint as far as changing the amount of tokens required for a node, I would not like that to change if I had any say so on that 100%, because from an investor standpoint, people would kind of feel like, okay, well, why are you changing the amounts and whatnot? And that's so like it would be more so along the terms of what Tom was getting at. We would look to incorporate programs that would allow non-node holders to enter those programs to work towards getting additional rewards in some way later on throughout our evolution. But as far as changing the amount of nodes, we told our community from day one, this is the amount. So as price appreciation occurs, if nodes are only affordable by people like Google, Facebook, Elon, like Tesla and all those guys, like big businesses, then that's just the way it's going to be. And those people who got in earlier are just going to benefit from that.
Scandy asks, "Hi guys, can you tell us anything about the revamp of the node rewards now that the boost program has ended? Also, really nice to have so many team members here tonight. Love what you guys are doing."
I mean, I guess since that's kind of been one of the parts of our ecosystem that I really kind of had my hands on. Can I give any more? I mean, realistically, what we're trying to do with the node system is we are in the reward system is try to make sure that the rewards are scaling as we scale, if that makes sense. Does that mean, more SHA in people's pockets? It could. Does it mean a difference or a change that is more fitting with where we're, kind of driving? That's possible too. In all honesty, because we've been so busy with SafeSwap and onboarding NFT partnerships and everything that we've been doing, I haven't put pen to paper yet in regards to that, which is why I'm saying, in full transparency, which most people, especially in this organization, know me well as, is I'm going to tell you kind of flat out where we're at. That's why we're more or less looking at the end of the quarter for me to and the team to decide and then make public what we're going to do with the node program and revision of the rewards. And I know it's on our roadmap, as a matter of fact, that we were going to revise that. But
Thomas, I think it's more optimistic to say second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, guys. You know what I mean? Jorgen brings up a really good point. Is that we're with SafeSwap and the kind of inquiries we've seen and the support that we've seen, we're getting slammed, and it's the good kind of slam where we're doing what we need to be doing. We're having the right conversations. Tyler is incredibly busy with NFT partnerships. As a matter of fact, another piece that you guys should, can know and you will know because you'll see it sooner or later is we've expanded the team by several. We just haven't released that particular medium yet or that article where we kind of go into what we've expanded upon, but that's coming too because we're at that point now where we have to expand to make sure that we keep some sort of timeline. So, that's sort of a tidbit, if not juicy tidbit, that you guys will be able to see. There's some serious team expansion and stuff like that to make sure that we support what we need to be doing moving forward. So Vet, I can't answer your question straight out. I wish I could, but at this point, we just got to get into this year and figure out more or less where our delegation, our human capital needs to be placed. But you guys will definitely have something about that revision of the node reward program by the end of this quarter.
And Tom, to add on to that, so as Tom and Jurgen were just saying, all these partners coming up and whatnot, that's also going to enable us to possibly add more features to rewarding nodes. So, like Jurgen was saying, being optimistic more towards quarter two, it makes more sense, because if we can offer more rewards to the community by waiting a couple weeks for more partnerships to come out, to where we don't have to say, oh, by the way, we're revising it again and doing more rewards, because we don't want to keep coming back and saying we're revising. We're always looking to scale and provide more, but we want to do it at a good rate. So if we can get more rewards put in just by waiting a couple more weeks for that launch of the revision, then by all means, that's exactly what we're gonna go with.
And as a holder, I'm aware that you guys are constantly growing and priorities are shifting. As a Shaw holder, I would prefer that you guys focus on the biggest fish to fry. And I know that you guys have had, I don't want to misuse the term, but I believe it's investors kind of come to Shaw and say, hey, we need X amount of things done by this time frame. And you guys, the whole team has kind of had to shift gears a little bit from what you thought you were going to be doing to, some more beneficial priorities that will benefit the entire community. So I second that. If there was 100 emoji, I would have been smashing it. Tifuro asks, will the new safe key be a USB-C device?
Jurgen, correct me if I'm wrong, but the question was just asked, the new safe key device, will it be a USB-C compatible? But the current one is already compatible with USB-C. I was speaking to Andy not too long ago, and if I'm not mistaken, you could actually use the current safe key right now with a USB-C adapter. Right, Jurgen? I see you just got back on. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so sorry, I have some issues with my laptop. Yeah, I agree with that. It will be NFC capable, also Bluetooth, and it normally will have an USB-C port. The reason why it's this project is some kind of lacking being integrated and produced is the MCU issue. We had an MCU that we wanted to integrate, which was a legacy MCU that has been hacked since. So we had to change our way of thinking. So we have to redo everything a little bit with Nitro Key. And now we are just waiting to have the production level to have it produced with the new chosen MCU. So that's the reason why it's not yet live yet.
Fear X asks, and this is kind of more, it's going to get morbid, guys. If I died today, my wife would have no idea how to recover any crypto we have invested. Do you have a focus making this more like an easy trip to the bank for those with little to no technical skills?
Yeah, that's really where Inheriting Mobile is going to come into play. Their Community Edition, we're completely aware that it is geared. It's called Community Edition because the community is the crypto community. So the majority of people, at least utilizing it, right, will know how to put it together. Here's the thing, right? We can't make assets move. All right, we don't have access to keys. That's not what we do. So, what we're giving people access to is the information to obtain the keys. Now, with that being said, okay, essentially what we're looking to do in that scenario is simplify the process, right? Simplify how easy it is to obtain for family members, to obtain something that someone stores, in Inherity, okay, using an Inherity plan. So mobile will take away, what could be considered a barrier of the safe key device. Okay. Whereas, when you use the program, okay, when you use the solution, all right, there's 500 characters. So if we're talking about, several wallets, you can leave directions, simple directions. Also keep in mind that the goal here is to, when you have an inherited plan, you're also utilizing a merge authority, and the merge authority is probably someone who is either a lawyer, or B, someone who you trust very closely, and or maybe a family member who knows just as much about crypto as you do, and can assist your family in moving forward. Right. So you can still leave all of these instructions, more or less, to the lawyer who's handling the merge authority of that particular first safe key. Right. And the details of how to obtain those things can be in your will. Right. You can leave that instruction. The only thing you're redacting or omitting from that is the private keys. And that's really the critical part. Right. So you can put your directions within the plan itself, or you can leave your directions outside of the plan. All right. And if you leave the directions outside of the plan, all you're basically doing is omitting the critical pieces of data that are within the key, right? That's within your plan. Yeah, of course, ease of use is something that we're considering, and we consider it all the time. It's why standard edition, when we move away from the community edition, standard edition is going to be, we'll be able to use fiat payments and stuff like that, because not everybody wants to be bothered by blockchain obscurity and, crypto terms and whatnot. So there's several levels in which we're going to make this, more user-friendly, increase the ease of use for those who are not able to, or have not educated themselves in what everyone in this room has already educated themselves on, and that is crypto and blockchain and the use of it and the wallets and all that. Okay. So ultimate goal being, yes, we will do what we can, but there's still always going to be some technical aspect to it. And properly speaking, when you're talking about passing away and having a will, and there's taxes involved in all that stuff. That's why we recommend a legal authority to be the merge authority, because you can leave those directions. Whereas, here's what you do, here's how you get money, and you move it in and out, and you move your assets, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just not giving you those key pieces of information, those private keys, those wallet addresses, those passwords, et cetera.
MGS1 asks, how SafeSwap prepared for pressure from governmental entities to introduce KYC? Is regulatory compliance considered?
Regulatory compliance is considered in almost everything. Actually, it is everything that we do. We're just like every project out there. We are navigating regulatory compliance from every perspective that we possibly can, right? So we have lawyers, and we pay the proper personnel who are educated in that field to guide us in the right direction. As far as SafeSwap is concerned, we're not a DEX yet, right? So what we're doing right now is we're just providing a utility. It's not the concept of money, of being considered a broker, right? A money broker. So we're just the pools from which organizations and people, or organizations will hold and people will swap in and out of. Those are just pools that are held by the projects themselves. So for example, all the pools that are, SHA BEP20, SHA VIP 180, ERC20, okay, Poly, we hold those pools, but they're locked up in the protocol, right? So we can't access them unless we exchange one for one and then receive the other side. So right now, we're not seeing that particular function of utility as a regulatory aspect, because we're not offering money, we're not moving and exchanging in an exchange, I'm using quotation, in the term of what an exchange is. We're just allowing the utility. And it would be also then the token provider that needs to be KYC compliant. So, for example, when people originally got into, whatever project that they're into, right? If they were initial investors, that's typically where the KYC compliance comes into play. This is a decentralized tool. It differs. So if there is KYC involved because someone has a particular token, it would be the project's responsibility, not the platform, because it is a utility platform. It's something that we have to look into when it comes to VUSD. Yes. We're not there yet. We're having those initial discussions. They will take time, but it is something that we're considering.
The fifth for you asks, do you have DEXs ready to allow trading of these synthetic tokens?
DEXs ready synthetic tokens. Okay, so I'm going to try to decipher what that means. And Tyler, and I think you're probably going to try to help me on this one. I'm thinking we're talking about the pools from which we can move tokens in and out of.
Yeah, I think he's just basically asking which DEXs we had in mind for listing any synthetic tokens, for that matter. And my answer would be it's up to the community to provide liquidity, and we might do liquidity provisions if the foundation approves it.
Yeah, we're really not. We DEXs are DEXs, guys. We all know that. So if someone wants to list a token on a DEX, technically, if the token contract is public, then they can. There has to be enough liquidity on either side, right? And we've tossed that idea around, and it's, like I said, it's probably one of those things that are going to come after we start at, that people can actively move SHA in and out of VIP 180. And as we start to move and bridge our platforms, see, the ultimate goal with this is also to, the ultimate goal is to be able to move Inherity and our other platforms onto different blockchains, that way becoming blockchain agnostic, so that way we see more user, right? A larger user base. I don't have all those, we don't have all those answers yet at this time. But, we'll have to see kind of what the market does to us on that one. It's kind of out of our hands unless we purposely move to, let's say, put a SHA on PancakeSwap or something like that. Right now, it's a little early for us to be thinking about that. We just need to make sure that it's up, functional, audited, make sure that everybody's safe, protocol works, etc.
Well, I've got about 8 more questions here, and we'll try to wrap up quick. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. FOMO Fudstar asks, was the EU grant application successful? And if so, in which way is it supporting Safe Haven meet its ambitions and goals?
So EU grant is something we always get asked about because it was something that originally in the beginning was something that we really were focusing on. The problem with anything that's government regulated is that it moves super slow, and that's why we're all in this space, right? Because the government is ill-efficient, right? And we're disrupting methods of which some of the we're disrupting the methods in which the government and the traditional business sector operates. In waiting for said government, EU, and their constituents to move along the process, as well as bouncing it back and forth from them to us and them to us back and forth. What we have found is that most recently we're meeting our goals without that. And that's really a power play on our part. Some people may see it as a negative. We don't, because in waiting for the process to go back and forth, we have achieved what we originally were trying to address, right? And part of that was Inherity Mobile, all right, getting the grant for Inherity Mobile. But we already have the foundation pieces laid. So now we have to take that part out of the grant. And that's the problem. Every time we would exceed and move forward, right? If something was in the grant, we had to go back and revisit the grant, pull those pieces because we've already done it. So we can't be granted anything for something that we've already completed. What we're finding is that, especially now, we're kind of meeting all of those points within that grant before the grant is being reviewed at the final top level, if you will. So the end question, of course, is, do we still proceed with it? I think the critical point is what we're proceeding with the grant is a smaller piece. And the only reason we would likely proceed with such a thing is for the acknowledgement, right? The acknowledgement with EU. But we're already quite intertwined with elements of the EU. Jorgen would know more about that, keeping in mind patents, etc. But to answer that question, by the time that we're all said and done, we might have smoked the government on this one as far as what we needed to, because we had a community. We had a community to make sure that we're still providing for and that we're still moving in the right direction. You guys expect us to put things out there and to produce and to make platforms and do what we said we were going to do. We sometimes can't wait on a government.
Maybe I can add something on this one, Thomas. Thanks. It's important to know, and it's normal that people don't know, but I'm going to tell it anyway. The reason why we have done our ICO in Singapore was basically, as everybody knows, in Belgium and in Europe, we didn't had any regulation, right? And Singapore, not as much needed, but still we could do it, and we have done it. The thing is, to be completely now regulated on a token level, as we want to do, as we want to exist in many years to come, we want to move our crypto company in Singapore also to Belgium, not to another European country, but to Belgium. That's something that's important to know, and we have put everything on hold on the grant level because one thing, we don't need it for the moment. The main reason was the negotiation network, which is still on our to-do list, but we don't have infinite resources on people, on humans. It's not only about money, you need also good people, and a negotiation network will require at least 16 new people involved. So it's not as easy to find, and we are also limited. So there are only 24 hours in a day. So that's something that people need to keep in mind. The grant is really directly attached to the fact that we want to have everything set up on a legal ground in Belgium. So our tokens, our tokenomics, everything. As now in Belgium, it's getting pretty much regulated, even if there's still a mess. As we are teaching the governments how things work. So we are helping them to regulate it. It's really painful. It's not easy to handle, but this is the way that we have chosen to do, and that's something that people have to keep in mind. That's the main reason why the grant has been postponed. So it can only be better in the long run what we are doing, but it's an extra bargain on our shoulders. So
thanks, Jordan. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Island Boy asks, will VEUSD be utilized on SafeSwap? Will SafeSwap have liquidity farming offered?
Well, we are in talks, and I can't say much about that. Normally, we progressed a lot on this matter, but and Vechain will be also offering liquidity on that matter. So I think that answers your question. The liquidity will have to come from Vechain.
Furo has quite a long question here, so bear with me here. Once Inherity Business Edition will be offered to, for example, exchanges or centralized institutions, are they able to quote unquote white label it so there is no visible connection to Safe Haven? And if white labeled, will that still generate utility rewards for the node holders?
Well, Business Edition is a white labeled based solution, to be honest. It's full API based. There is no GUI. The standard edition will be our only visible app. The business edition will be white labeled.
And then the second part of that, that I don't know. I know that sounds ridiculous. That I don't know that we've talked about it because we haven't gotten there yet. Jorgen, is there a way? And we're kind of brainstorming here in front of 127 people, so forgive us. That we could ensure, because the business edition still has to technically use SHA, guys.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything. The smart contracts are the smart contracts.
So
Like, it's going to be using SHA.
To answer that question, the business edition will use the same technology as a community edition and the standard edition. With the only difference will be it will not be as decentralized as this community edition. And one of the reasons is now everything is handled in the client's web browser, right? In the business edition, everything will go finally to a backend for a short moment of time, right? We will have it auditing that we comply with the data integrity and everything. That's not a problem, but that's something to. But you were mentioning exchanges. We all know that exchanges, they have one wallet for a lot of tokens on an exchange are not your keys. The only thing that we can make inheritable are the user accounts on an exchange, right? So that's something important that I wanted to say because I think people don't quite realize that exchanges making wallets inheritable, it's possible, but they don't have as many. It's not because you have 1 million users on your exchange that you have the potential to make inheritable 1 million wallets. They don't have 1 million. All the tokens of everybody are combined on the same wallet. They have maybe 100 wallets, right? So the potential is not, our focus is not the exchanges. On an utility focused manner.
Right. Okay. So, to just finish off that answer, or to answer that question, I should say, if the protocol still remains the same, which it does, okay, and it requires SHA, whether in the back end of a white label or in the front end of community edition, we still take into consideration the fees, which means we still take into consideration the node holders. So in turn, node holder would then also receive a part of that utility reward.
Yes. And one thing that's where our vault comes in action, right? When I say it goes to a backend, the information that is normally handled in the front end will be go to our vault. The business edition needs our vault to be workable. The vault will become a really strategic and important part for the standard edition and the business edition.
All right, guys, I don't want anyone to miss out on their chance for 10,000 SHA, so we'll grind through these last 3 questions and then we'll wrap it up. We've been here for an hour and a half. I'm sure people are lethargic, but these questions are great. I want to run through these last ones, okay? Josri asks, now that Safe Haven is getting into more and more partnerships, what is a company's first impression when learning about Safe Haven? So maybe, what are some of the impressions that companies have had whenever they first find out about your guys' protocols?
All the people that I talked to pertaining to NFT partnerships recently, they're all mind blown, and they absolutely love the idea of being able to ensure that their ecosystem can live on if someone passes.
Pokemon World asks, when is SHA going to be listed on large exchanges like Binance? Do any plans regarding this exist?
So
we're already. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, no problem, man. I've always kind of been the exchange, as I mentioned earlier. When we get contacted by exchanges or scams for that matter, I deep dive into them. And the truth of it is, right now, we've had questions, and I don't mean to sound, I don't mean to sound outlandish in this reply, but we've had exchanges interested, and it just didn't necessarily mean, we've had large exchanges that have been interested, and they just wanted too much money, and it would have only hurt us in the short run. And in this space, it moves so quickly that you need to make sure that your capital is available and liquid. Now, with that being said, it doesn't mean that we're turning down exchanges, because by no means would we. If it was Binance, we would find a way, or we would work to find something that is a little bit more compensationable, if you will. But that particular question is asking about Binance. I mean, KuCoin itself is an incredibly large exchange, extremely reputable. We are seeing more exchanges come to us now, recently listed on Bitmart, which has branches in New York, Hong Kong, and I want to say where the other one is, but I know it's in the EU. I believe they have 4 in total. I mean, realistically, what you guys are going to probably find is that SafeSwap is going to kind of open the doors, because one thing that we have always found is that it's a difficult thing for VIP 180s to get listed, and we don't really know why that is. It just seems like that's a more difficult, blockchain to negotiate with in your corner. Though it's just as simple to integrate as an ERC20, okay? But at the same time, what will possibly happen is when we integrate onto these other chains, and that's why cross-chain is key here, right? Because going onto other chains is also going to, we'll kind of approach some of those tribalistic, we'll kind of be able to tackle those tribal groups, right? Those who are, defined, BEP20 type, communities, or ERC20 communities. And, one thing that we have found also, and when we talk with exchanges, is just because we're VIP 180, our premium just to list on those exchanges is, 200% on what anybody else would. So yeah, we've done some turning down on exchanges that, ultimately people would like to see. But then here's the truth of it all, right? I've talked to plenty of people on other teams, in and out of the VeChain ecosystem. Okay. When you're listed on KuCoin, there's only really one other place or 2 other places to go. And any other listing is not going to support your organization. It's not going to increase your value. It's not going to, there are limited places to go when you're already on KuCoin. And we took the dive, and when we had 2 exchanges that we were deciding from, we went with KuCoin. The other one was a very reputable exchange that we did not move forward with. But at the end of the day, at this point now, the only step is really to 1 or 2 exchanges, and you're talking about a Binance and a Coinbase type of approach, you know what I mean? And those are difficult exchanges. Now, cross-chain again, right? Being able to put SHA on a BEP20 chain. Okay, now we've just probably increased our chances moving over some of our infrastructure like Inherity onto that chain, supporting that chain's hash rate, etc. I know that's not the answer to your question, but it gives you a little bit more insight of how the exchanges work and how it's impacting us as a project.
Thank you. I think that was very insightful, and I think it gives the information to the holders that we need. I think it's imperative holders understand that it's not just as easy as going and knocking on Binance's door or sliding a letter underneath their door and hoping they find it. I'm sure there's a lot more intrinsic involvement that goes along with that. Chief the Dog 22 asks, what kind of impact did the Shaw team have on the creation of VEUSD? What do you see it doing for the SafeSwap platform?
Maybe I can answer on that. We are not involved. We know who's behind the whole thing, as we have been in talks for that on that part. But we help them create some usage on the token. We have meetings with them. brainstorm meetings to see where we can add and where we can use VASD on our project and also other projects. So that's my answer.
No, thank you, Jürgen. Final question of the day, and then we'll wrap up. Viper ID asks, is the sensitive data for inheritance ever stored or accessible to the devs and or others?
No, not the inheritable data.
Nope.
I think we answered this question already. I think RTFM is the only way to be aware of how it works. But we have done an auditing by Res4Sec for the data integrity. It's in our GitHub, I believe. So it's audited, so it's true. Companies that are auditing and stating that we don't have access to critical data, well, I think you can take that for granted.
Yeah, so, and another thing and I'm gonna really praise Jürgen here, because his background really is in security. Everything that we do is audited for whatever it needs to be audited for. And if Inherity claimed and claims continuously that we don't hold any data, well, we made sure that we could also, we can make that claim correctly. And that's why there are, security. That's why that's why we have the audits up in the GitHub. That's why they're on the website. And the audits aren't just for the integrity of the smart contracts. It's for the integrity of the information and the data therein, right? And the data that we state that we make sure that A, we're protecting for the user, and B, that we state we don't have any access to, and we don't. And it continues to this day, even though we've had a third-party audit. And by the way, Red4Sec is a really, really good company to work alongside, and they're thorough. And I state that because I know Jürgen doesn't pick just anybody when it comes to, what we're doing as far as security is concerned and auditing services. And
I believe on that part is that we have 4 different stages on Inherity only. So we have audit our smart contracts. We have audit white hack based. So we give all our code to the Red4Sec to audit if we have indeed access to critical data. So it's not based on what they see through our website. No, they have access to our code, source code. We have audited the data integrity based on that. And the 4th thing, we have a 2-year program for pen testers to audit our platform 24 hours a day, right? So
that was the other thing I was going to bring up, Jürgen, is that we also have a 2-year program with Integrity, which is one of the largest white hat hacking organizations, pen testing organizations out of the EU. It's a 2-year program. We're really not sparing any expense when it comes to the data that we say that we're making sure people are able to protect, So, the answer, and Tyler said it right off the bat, was no. And you guys heard me say no. No, we don't hold any critical data, and we've done, and we will continue to do everything possible to make sure that statement remains true.
Yeah, I will even say it more. I use it for myself. I have a protection plan for my Kraken account, for my own keys. Everything is set up on Vechain, so I would not use it if I would not believe it, right? So the only thing is that we have to improve our UX experience, the whole thing. It's not. I understand it as I have built it, right? I noticed when I was explaining to my wife how she has to recover, and I have to admit it's not done in 5 minutes, right? So this is something that we are working with, and that the standard edition will help clearing up. And Tyler has also some ideas with the videos and stuff like that. So it can only be better. We are only making our foundations better. So it takes time. I admit it. It's 4 years, but we haven't only built inherity, right? And with the spare time we had, waiting patents, waiting for auditing and stuff like that, we built other things on the side. So we built a whole node program. I think we are the only node program that offering in the Vechain ecosystem. It takes time, it takes resources, and a lot of it takes money. So we have built it, Vechain has it, but all the other dApps, they don't do it. Most of them, they don't do it. So this said, I think we don't have anything to prove anymore besides making sure that the SHA utility gets reach higher grounds, because we have to admit we would like to see SHA used on a broader level. I think we all agree on that. We have everything set up to and monitored to have it done. We only need now to have more exposure, and that's what we are working with SafeSwap and stuff like that. There's another important thing to know, that for the moment we don't have any SHA whale in our ecosystem. They are all gone. There were a few in the beginning. We don't have any anymore. We on a stakeholder level, it's only me and Andy. So that's also something that you have to keep in mind. We have a very good team with Tyler, with Thomas and David and stuff like that. And we are expanding, especially in 2022. We will expanding a lot. But keep in mind that we are willing to go Series A. We want to do Series A funding and rounds and stuff like that to make it mainstream, because marketing is everything, right? And that's something that we have to work on, and it's very costly. So this said, things to keep in mind before. I'm straightforward, so.
I love it. That was perfect. Thank you for that, man.
Straightforward. But yeah, so that I hope that answers everybody's questions. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you all.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much. I want to go ahead and run through my thank yous real quick. I want to be super praiseful and thankful of the Vechain Foundation for allowing us to hop on this Discord and, marketing it on the official Twitter. So thank you, Vechain. I want to give a big shout out to Vet Mike, Peter Cresswell from VimWorld. Big shout out to those guys for making all this stuff possible. Week in and week out, these guys are working behind the scenes. Same with Shaw. The Shaw team and I and Bet Mike have been building this program for you guys for about, I would say, like 14 days now. We've been building this and kind of communicating behind the scenes. So thank everybody behind the scenes for, just dedicating that time to the community, which leads me to my next thank you, which would be the community themselves. We maxed out around 180 listeners today. I know some of you guys are rolling out of bed at 4 a.m. Some of you guys are staying up late till midnight, and some of you guys are hiding in the bathroom on your work break. So we appreciate everybody who has taken the time to listen to the Shaw team and, take notes of what they're doing over there. Shaw, I want to go ahead and personally thank you guys for being unlimitedly transparent. I think that you guys do a great job at demystifying and, kind of letting everybody peek behind the curtain. I think you guys did that exceptionally well. I think you did it professionally, and I think that every Shaw holder should be highly ambitious and excited for what 2022 is going to bring. And also for any listeners here who maybe want to get their first bag of Shaw, you can find that in the live chat tab of the Vechain official Discord. Vet Mike has pasted 3 links. One link is to the how to buy Shaw. The second link is how to buy some Shaw merchandise. If you want to do some self-marketing around your town or at your job, feel free to get some merchandise. And if you'd like to set up your Inherity program today, you can go ahead and start doing that right now using the Inherity link that's also in the chat. So again, thank you guys, Shaw. Thank you, Vet Mike and Peter Cresswell. Thank you, Vechain. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you a lot, man. I really appreciate you getting us all up here and hosting this, and thank you, Vet Mike.
guys, we really appreciate it. And, we know that an hour and a half plus of your guys' time is extremely valuable. So thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you to the listeners for coming out. And we'll see you next week with another Vechain Thors Day. Tyler, have a good one. Tom, have a good one. Jurgen, have a good one. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
See you. Bye.
Thanks, brother. Have a blessed day. Over and out.
And that's it.